Hey guys, we're here today with Nick, who's going to tell us about his brand. Please tell us a bit about yourself and your brand.
Okay, my name's Nick. I'm a co-founder of Vollebak. I run Vollebak with my twin brother. At Vollebak, we're a menswear brand and we make very futuristic clothing. So what I'm interested in is basically making the future of clothing. When my twin brother and I started the company, obviously you have incredible clothing companies, but we personally didn't feel that anyone was attacking clothing in a similar way to the people were attacking what's the future of the car, what's the future of a rocket, what's the future of cooking, for instance. Yes. And chefs were wildly experimental and always pushing boundaries. And for us, there just seemed to be a slight, it's weird to say, but a slight safety in clothing, where it was more to do with the fashion or the trend or the colour. And I wasn't so interested in that. And I was far interested in what's the idea, what's the thing you're trying to solve, and what's the best answer for that, in a way that you might do in the chef world, in the rocket world, or in the car world, or in the technology world. That was our basic premise. It wasn't as clean as that 9 years ago. We just left our jobs in advertising and said, let's do a business. Yeah. But over time, if you think about an idea as a big stone with dirt all around it, but inside there's a diamond, and over the years, you polish till you get to a diamond. That's the attempt anyway. That's
where we're going. Yeah. So you guys look at a lot of materiality, how did that become a thing for you? Were you always interested in that?
Yeah, so my background is, my background was architecture. So I studied architecture for 6 years. I didn't do my part 3, but I went to the Bartlett. And in the Bartlett, you were obviously taught to be fascinated by everything, fascinated by how an idea works, fascinated in materiality. But naturally, I was naturally drawn to that. So for me, when I came into clothing, I probably approach it as an architect, more so than I'm not a fashion designer.
Yeah,
so I create clothes and I design clothes, but I probably do it in quite an architectural style. And architects love materials, love them, and so do I.
Your 3 words are architecture, materiality, and?
Invention. Yeah.
Okay, that's a nice
You have to invent stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything, but I believe, and my brother believes, as designers, your job is to push the boundaries forward, push the boundaries of what's been done. Well, otherwise you're just doing the same as everyone else.
So true.
I have 2 children, and I love that I inspire them, but you also have to inspire yourself. I think it's your job, personally, as a human being, to go to the limit of what you think you're capable of in your life, both personally and what you do as a business. I'm a massive believer in that. I push myself pretty hard.
Oh yeah, yes. Well, you have a spaceship. I think that proves a lot. In terms of being a founder, what has been the most challenging part of that, and how have you kind of adapted your process to kind of suit that?
Okay, probably 2 answers. Running a company is it was summed up by I think by certain people. It's like trying to build a plane while all the pieces of a plane are falling off a cliff.
Okay.
That is categorically how it is. So you then have to go, well, what is your attitude that you choose? So the attitude that I personally choose, and I've been lucky to have been sort of born with it. So my attitude is optimism and eternal belief, and I will go at something very hard. And so that's probably one way to look at the way of running a business. It's going to be like a train wreck. You may as well walk through smiling. And probably another thing that's helped massively in the last 2 years is my fiance and I, we absolutely love chess. And it's something I've fallen in love with over these last 2 years. And it's so silly to talk about, but why I love chess is it's so beautiful because it's both attack and defense. And I think that's so much of life is attack and defense.
Yeah.
And running a company is very much that. There are moments you very much have to defend for everything you believe in, but when you sense as an attack, and I mean attack in a positive sense, I mean attack by doing the things you believe in. So if you want to build a Sonic jacket or you want to build some very hard project, that is what I would class as an attack, where you know it is going to take an extraordinary amount of energy, intellectually and physically, But if you have an output at the end of it that you fundamentally believe in, it is worth the effort.
Yeah.
Whereas if you think about it, like and where I used to work, which was advertising after architecture, you might go on attack, but essentially you're attacking for someone else. So, and then you'll eventually, there's also stuff that happens in companies like politics, whereas when you run your own company, you have the privilege of it's all on you. If it fails, it's on you. If you succeed, it's on you. Those would be there's probably 3 strategies in there, aren't there? Yeah.
That's a good amount of strategies. What's next for you guys? What's in the books?
Next in the books? Well, what probably the honest answer is I've created 8 projects this year. And my friend is the architect, Bjarke Ingels, and he talks about having a number of projects that you want to achieve during a year that are fundamentally to do with you and your ambition and your vision, as opposed to someone commissioning you or something you might do solely for commercial gain.
Yeah.
And so I have 8 pieces of clothing this year that are in some way revolutionary. The Sonic jacket is one of them.
Yes.
I'm probably going to pay very close attention to the Sonic jacket over this next year, only because I think we've, on purpose and accidentally, invented something completely insane. And I think we need to spend a year or a decade understanding what we've created, understanding its capabilities, and giving it all the time and attention it deserves.
Yes.
Let's think of it like I was going to say, let's think of it like a tree, but if you think of it, it might be something like, you think of it like the Amazon rainforest.
Okay, yes.
You would look at that, you've created this thing that has this vast underlying potential. And I want to, very crazy analogy, but you sort of want to see the forest grow, you want to see what that can become.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of my attention.
Yeah, ecosystem develop, right?
But beyond that, I'm making a bomber jacket out of rock.
Wonderful. Okay, cool.
Because who doesn't need a rock jacket? And I'm making a crazy belt in a few months, which is it's made from an amorphous metal.
Okay, cool.
Which is like a metal they send to the planet Titan for the robot gears, obviously, because people need robots in Titan. And that material is kind of amazing because it's basically a liquid metal. So no, I have a lot of projects in the pipeline.
So cool. Okay, so your Instagram is going to be popping off with creative visions. Yeah, we love it.
So for instance, this goes between 4 hertz and 20,000 hertz.
Yes.
So your hearing, or our human's hearing, works between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. Outside of that, the frequency goes on, but is completely inaudible.
Yeah.
And below 20 hertz, it goes down. But again, it's inaudible. But it doesn't mean your body's not feeling it.
Okay.
So you have stuff like sonic warfare. And the other thing I remember thinking about was, well, I have a cat purr at 90 hertz that makes me feel very nice. So if you hold a cat, it purrs and it's very nice for your bones, and it's a bone healing frequency. But similarly, people have developed sonic weaponry, so way above 20,000 hertz, and you can do devastating things to people with sonics. And our flip at Vollebak was, well, if you can do devastatingly bad things with sonics, you must be able to do wildly good things with sonics.
Yes.
It doesn't feel an area being massively experimented with. And because I don't have to, because I'm not a scientist in the truest sense of the word, I'm very happy to build an experiment where I get to prove my thesis, and I'm completely happy to prove it publicly. A week ago, because this has only been finished for a week, I put myself in the jacket and fired every single frequency through me from 4 hertz up to 20,000.
Yeah.
Now, at 20 hertz, it was just very soft. Below that, I didn't really like it.
Okay.
And then once I got up to 110 hertz, I was into it. But it was like a soft sound bath, right? It was okay.
Okay.
At 140, I started to get into a relatively meditative state. And at 180, which is the frequency the Earth resonates at, but I didn't know this at the time, I felt unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And to camera, I was describing how I was feeling. And the only way to describe it was it felt like the sunshine was inside my body.
Wow.
Which is, I know, bizarre
that
to
is
explain.
a big statement, yeah.
But it was so weird. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to give a live reading, a truthful reading to a room full of us, and it's just like a bunch of us just basically experimenting. And that was the only way I could describe it. But in the same way, if you put fully immersed a child in the sea for the first time, and I said, how do you feel?
Yeah.
It's a very hard feeling to say. It's like if you see a dog seeing snow for the first time.
Yeah.
They go crazy. Anyway, so the sunshine was in me at 180, and I could have lived in that. I basically wanted the world kind of just disappeared. So when your hood is up, it's a very hard feeling to explain because everything in front of me felt a bit like a simulation. Then, funnily, at 190 hertz, just 10 hertz up, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It just did not work. It felt very foreign, very alien. Then some frequencies within the 200s, I think maybe 240 was also incredible.
Yeah.
Once I got above 500, I was less into it, and above 1,000, I hated it.
Okay.
So what you're going to find, or what's going to happen is I'd imagine certain people that love certain frequencies.
Yeah.
Now you might like 90 hertz, and I might like 120 hertz. And it's just going to, there's no way that everybody is going to gravitate towards the same frequencies. And we're just going to experiment on this for the next year or so with some wild people who want to be part of this project. And what I love is it will do certain things for certain people. I can definitely, and I did it to myself, I can change my brain state and I can change my physical state.
Yeah.
I can put you into flight or fight mode. I can put adrenaline through me.
Yeah.
It is simply wild. I think we've invented a piece of clothing where we'll look at it, and I think there's, if you look at the pantheon of bits of clothes, right? You had grass and hay, let's say, 20,000 years ago, hunter-gatherer. Then you've had some silks from Egypt. Then you had a suit of armor. Then you've had an astronaut suit, all of which you go, it's moments in time, right? Moments in time. I personally think this is a moment in time within clothing where we've merged technology and clothing in a way that can change your brain and physical state in a way that clothing's never been done before. And I think it marks a moment in the timeline of clothing.
Yeah.
How's no one invented this? But I don't know, maybe my brain is weird.
But that's also where the best things come out, right? I think in the day and age where we're all following trends, it's hard to feel like you're making something new.
I don't massively follow trends.
Yeah.
I always feel I have an awareness of stuff.
Yeah.
So I like to be very aware of highbrow culture. I love lowbrow culture. I love everything in the middle. So it's your job as a designer to be aware of things. But I think the magic of design, and I think this was a Steve Jobs thing, is he'd take a thing here, an idea, and an idea here, and he'd combine it into a triangle.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do. So whatever my triangle was, maybe it was sonic weaponry is bad. And clothing and technology can be good. So technically, my job is like I run Vollebak, but in my heart, I'm an art director.
Yes.
That's what I am. And so my job is the first time the world sees a sonic jacket, where the jacket has to look good.
Yeah.
It has to look like the thing it does.
Yes.
So in Back to the Future, you have a car called the DeLorean.
Yes.
And the DeLorean time travels, and it looks like it can time travel.
Yes. Yes.
So when you have an astronaut suit, it has to function to make a human not die in space.
Yeah.
Now, out of that function, it's going to look a certain way.
Yes.
And so the sonic jacket, that was our first premise. You have to have speakers. They have to be wired.
Yeah.
I have to have access to the speakers from the outside.
Yes.
The speakers have to be visible from the inside. So half your aesthetic job is done now.
Yeah.
But if I were then to go, oh, I want to hide those wires, I don't want to see this thing, you are hiding the magic.
Yes.
And in architecture, there's a thing called artifice. Don't quite remember the proper meaning, but the artifice is like the structure of something or how it works. And my favorite architect of all time, Richard Rogers, built the Lloyd's building and the Pompidou Centre. He built the Pompidou with someone else, but he still built it. And he showed how it worked. He showed, here's the staircase, here's the insides, here's the venting duct. And out of that, he created the most fundamentally incredible architecture aesthetically. I am from his school of architecture in a way. That is the type of designer I am. Again, my architect friend Bjarke Ingels, he talks about it as sustainable hedonism. Ideas have to be hedonistic or fascinating for people to care. And I think in the clothing world, that's completely true.
Yes.
But it's not because it's like the in-season color. I chose white because it's utterly beautiful. Yeah. And it's what our amazing company we built the clothes with had available, and it was sort of to do with one of their space projects they'd done. I chose yellow because yellow is my favorite color. It is categorically also wired with yellow is to do with technology. And now you have an aesthetic that's very yellow, black and white.
Yes.
In the same way that the Lloyd's building is silver with maybe like blue pipes, and the Pompidou is white with primary colours, red, blue and green, I think, and maybe some black. And that is my style. That is the style I love.
Yeah.
And so the beautiful thing about running a company is I can be true to my style, I can be true to my beliefs. So let's say 60% of the jacket is because it has to be like that. But 40% of all those little choices about aesthetics, yes, those are all deliberate choices.
Yes.
Everything is deliberate about that. What's funny is because we worked with a company called FBFX, so they do all special effects clothing for film, and they're incredible people to work with. So for instance, they've just built the recent Hail Mary suit for Ryan Gosling. Yes. Similarly, they built the Stormtroopers for Star Wars. So they come at it with brilliant aesthetics. Yeah. And so when, I think we had a bunch of people worked on it, let's say a guy called Jonathan worked on it, and maybe he was in charge of some of these aesthetics. Yeah. So when we were dealing with them, there's just a reality of what the clips look like, but I love reality. I love accidental reality. Yeah. So he obviously happened to have orange and red clips. And there was always, of course, a conversation of, are you okay with these clips? And of course, yes, I am. Because sometimes that accidental found aesthetic of the collaborator you're working with, you want those things. You want those moments, those accidents. That's what creates the magic. Whereas if you're so prescriptive of, no, I don't like that. I'm not one of those people. I love an idea to be executed at 95%. If you try and make it 100%, you'll never get the idea out. But this is like a happy accident. Yes. There's blue bits as well, and there's grey bits. Yeah. No, we had proper chats. Do you want this yellow? Do you want this grey? And I was like, I love those tiny moments, those flecks of colour. Yeah. Totally. In the same way I like furniture when it gets aged. And this table, so out of interest, this is from FBFX made this, so I came across this. It was the foam. They had these massive sheets of foam everywhere that they carved models out of. And as an architect, I was like, what on earth is that material? And it turns out that as these foam blocks, they're maybe like 2 meters by 3 meters, and they're about 500 pounds. And so the architect in me said, well, great, I'm going to make tables out of that. Well, look at the colour though. Yes. But I didn't choose the colour. The colour is something I saw. Yeah. They make them green and blue. I don't know why. I saw this colour. I said, cool, I'll have that. Yeah. And I think you've got to be open creatively. Always, let's call your life is a river, right? Yeah. And how you choose your life is a river. Yeah. But creatively, it's the same way. You follow as the river goes, and it's up to you as the creative to sense if that bit of the river's okay. Yeah. And if you try and drag everything into a straight line, it's not going to be. Yeah. Like, you've got to move with it. And the job is, once you have your river of creativity and you end up at your sea, the sea has to be pretty much what you imagined at the start. Yeah. But how you get there, and tiny moments within that, that's okay to have permutation, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for having us.
That was amazing.
Absolute pleasure.
That was brilliant. Thank you.